Welcome to Salesforce Coding Academy. On today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create a loading button like this one in Lightning Web Components. Alright, so let's get going. So here I have just an empty page, and I've added my component loading button to the page. And I will start by grabbing the Lightning card, the simple one from the documentation. So just copy it here, paste it here, and let's save. See if our card is appearing there. And once it finishes pushing, we refresh the page. Yep, we can see the button there. So what we're gonna try to achieve is replace this dumb button here and put a spinner on it. So it provides a better user experience, so you can tell the user that something is happening, so the user doesn't keep clicking and waiting for something to happen. And if you have a controller, for example, that keeps calling the controller. So I will start by separating this a little bit. We don't care about the body, we don't care about the card footer, we're not going to touch this for now. And now we'll comment it out the button that came by default with the cards. And I will create my own button here. So let's add a button here, and I will replace with the word new. We're gonna give it a class of button, and also a class of SLDS button neutral. And we also gonna give a slot. So this is from the card, so the button displays on the right. I'm gonna save it, and we should see the same button, the same layout that we had. It's just replacing the Lightning button by our normal button, HTML button. Cool. Awesome. So now I'm gonna replace that the text we had there by a spam. So essentially what we're going to do, we want to replace the text by a spinner once our code executing something in the backend, and then we want to revert that operation. So we hide the spinner and we show the button. So for that, I'm going to use a spam, and I'm going to call this button with a loading spinner. Alright, so that's just replacing our text. I'm not going to give it any class, right? So what I'm going to do next is I will add the spinner here inside our button. So let's grab it from the documentation. I want this spinner here, the extra small one, and I'm going to copy it and paste it in our codes. Perfect. So there's not a lot that we're gonna change it here for now. I'm just gonna save this and show it how it looks on the page. And there we go. We have our button and we have our spinner. Great. So what we need to do now is find a way to hide the spinner, right? Okay, so go to the CSS class, and we're gonna create a hidden element class, right? We're gonna give this visibility hidden and opacity equals 0. Now with the CSS done, we grab the class and we add it to the spinner container. So if all works right, we should no longer see that spinner there. There we go, refresh, and the spinner is no longer there. So what we want to do is a way for using that class we just created to apply it to the span, and then when we want to show the spinner, and then apply it with this to the spinner when we want to show the text. All right, for that we're gonna create a action on the button So our button here, I'm gonna give it on click. I will call a function called handle button on click. Okay, so just replace this here. Okay, cool. Now we need to create that function in JavaScript. So handle button click. We need a way to target the span and the div. And with the Spring 23 release, we have the LWC refs. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can use these to target. So previously you would have to go template.querySelector, but we don't have to use that anymore. So for the spam, I'm going to give it a LWC ref, and I'm going to call this button dash label. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for the div wrapper. Let me just tie things up a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna edit the LWC ref here, and we're gonna call this one button spinner. Perfect. So now we can target those two HTML elements by doing these.refs, and the LWC framework will have a reference for those HTML elements. So we go const button label equals these.refs. Because I use the dash to separate the name, we need to open the parentheses and write button dash label. And I'm going to do the same thing for the spinner wrapper. So const button spinner equals these.refs, and I'm going to pass the name that I use, button spinner. Perfect. So if I log this, so let's log the button label. And let's log the button spinner. Typo here. Cool. Let's save. While it saves, let's open the console. And let's refresh the page. So clear the console, click on the button, and as you can see, you have a reference to those HTML elements. Now what we have to do is we need to use that CSS class to hide the text and display the spinner, and vice versa. So I'm gonna come here, button label dot class list dot toggle, and I'm gonna toggle my hidden element class, and I'm gonna do the same thing here for the button spinner. Save, refresh the page, and here we go. We have a spinner that doesn't change the size of the button, and yeah, you can put that on a controller response. You can separate this to a function that just toggles the class, so it's cleaner for everyone to read the code, but that's it. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I see you in the next video.